Well, welcome to our first video. This will be dealing with skunks in the Pacific Northwest, part one. I don't have a camera team, so I'll probably film kind of what I'm getting ready to do, explain it all to you, and then kind of go from there. So one of the things we have is our front porch deck. Nice to have, we don't use it that much. Nice big bay window. But one of the things we ran into, and we didn't know this, is skunks like these things. So you'll notice down here, we had to install chicken wire behind my lattice system because I have what they call a stone foundation. I think they call it like flagstone. And it's the stone that they pull up when they're digging out the house. They use that and mortar to build the foundation for the home. So it's little boulders, huge boulders. They actually pulled out of the earth when they build the house. They mortar them together. But my house got built 113 years ago. Well, underneath my porch deck, we have found out that the skunks found a way to knock a hole, and then they decided to find a way underneath my bathroom. And I had 4 sprays in a couple month period before we figured it out. So I put the chicken wire up so that we could at least get it fixed for the winter. And I had to pay the city people to come out here with traps and catch the skunks, which I wish this was a joke, but no, total cost. You get a deal after the first one, they'll cut the price down. But I literally spent $420 exactly on getting skunks removed. Yeah, so so I'm in the process here. I needed to figure it out, and we wanted to look under our crawl space anyway, because my house, as we figured out when we looked underneath to fix the skunk problem, does not have underfloor insulation. And there's no crawl space designed in this house. So we don't have a way to do that through normal methods. And the idea is, oh, well, if it's enough room under here, we'll dig it out, put an entryway, and then we could close it up so that skunks couldn't get in there. But as you'll see, if we can even get a good view in there, that is not an entryway that we can get into. I just need to fix the holes because little animals and critters are going in there. But where you see this ground here and the deck, it's maybe a foot, and that is all the space we have underneath the house, and not even all the way. When I was doing the flooring in my laundry room, I cut the subfloor out, and my joists are like literally right above the dirt. Now, old hardwood is a lot hardier than the new stuff, so they're fine. There wasn't any rot or any wear. They're all, so I didn't have to worry about that. But how do I get under the house to install under the floor insulation? Because that's where most of our heat loss comes from. So that's what we're working on. We're gonna close this up. My goal was just to buy some mortar. I got really lucky while I was down there trying to buy it. And I ran into a guy who does it for a living. And he explained to me that if I get mortar mix, the type S, which I did, a small amount of Portland cement, which is one of the ingredients in concrete, and some of the concrete adhesive that you're supposed to get. So I got this stuff here, and then I've got, and I'm not an advertisement for Sackcrete, but that's just what they had at the store. So we have mortar type S, and we have Portland cement. Unfortunately, Portland cement only comes at that store in 94-pound bags. For this project, I'll need probably a couple scoops of that bag. But one of the nice things about that is, and I have to double check, I don't want to tell you what the mixture is off the top of my head, but you can mix Portland cement, sand, and gravel. That's what concrete is. And if you're willing to mix it yourself, it's a lot cheaper than buying bags of cement. You can buy a truckload of sand in most places for $100 to $200 and get a truckload of gravel for $250 to $400 depending on where you're located. And this bag here was, I think, $7 or $8. There's enough cement in that, if I was going to do a mixture, to probably replace most of this if I wanted to. The bag goes a long way when you're actually mixing it up. It's just most people don't want to do the mixing process. If you go get a bag of, Sacrete concrete, it's pre-mixed for you, so you just add water. But if you're willing to just get loads of stuff and do it by shovelfuls, and you have a cement mixer, you can just throw it in there, use a hose, fill the water until you get to the right consistency. And it's a lot cheaper. It's just, it's on you if it's not mixed right, as opposed to if you just buy it pre-made. So just little things that we're going to attempt to do. But we're going to try and figure out how to clean this up. And then one of the things we noticed is my deck is not built properly. So instead of using decking screws, they just took random 2x6 by 8 foot boards, threw paint on them, and threw them on here. You should not be able to move that. So I was prying these up to get under it because this is not enough space for me to work. So I pulled my deck apart. I will say, if you are just replacing your top boards, you don't have to have a permit, even if it's attached to your house in our area. But the minute you touch the framing, you do. So luckily, when I got under here, the board started falling apart. But most of this is actually pretty good. I can reuse most of that, so I'm not too worried about that. Because that one's split just for safety, I did buy a new 2x6 treated cedar board. It's not going to be permanent, but that one, if you put a normal cheap board in there, they're not rated for outdoor. It's just going to rot and mold on you. So spend a little extra so you don't have to redo this all the time. But I'm pulling the boards out so that I can actually get a view under there. And I've already cleaned some of this out, but there was a bunch of leaves and trash that just got blown in because we didn't used to have the chicken wire, and the lattice is like 3 inches short. You would be surprised how many leaves get under that. So we're gonna rebuild the deck, but we're not doing that right now. It is getting too close to the end of the year, and we just don't have the ability to do that in a timely manner. And even if you're willing to do it yourself and get it, I mean, just the new boards on top of this deck, it's probably gonna cost me somewhere between $650, $850, maybe up to $1,000. My deck is, I believe it's 68 inches deep, and we're about 22 feet long. So you can either go get 8 foot boards like they did, cut it off. I don't like the way that looks. I'll probably look into pricing on what it would cost for getting actual like 22 foot boards made, but that can get kind of pricey. So as we get closer to that project, I'll keep you guys in the loop on it. But I had to rip all this out yesterday, but then it got late, and that's one of the sides of DIY nobody ever talks about. Whatever you think your time frame is to get a project done, double it, as well as cost. If you look it up in the material and all, and you're like, oh, it's going to cost me, $1,000 to a project, it's probably closer to $1,500 and $2,000. Because the reality, the tools, I've purchased cheap tools before, like an angle grinder, things like that. They literally break on you. I don't care if they have a warranty and all that, and you take it back and get a new. It's pointless because it kills your time. Time is money, especially if you have limited time to work on a project. Buy the right tools, okay? I don't get sponsored. We're a new channel. I only buy the cheapest DeWalt brushless. Do not buy brushed power tools. They burn up and break. They are worthless. It's like an extra $100 more to get the right thing, and they will last forever. Just spend the money, buy quality the first time, so you don't have to deal with it. But we're gonna get this stuff mixed up. We're gonna apply that. I've got a bucket for mixing. I've got a bucket for spare water. because one of the things I learned from the people I talked to is that if you want it to look clean, mortar's not something you can leave on the stone and then wash away later. You need to keep it washed off while you're doing it, or it leaves a weird hazy glaze on it permanently for life. There's no way to get it off. So we're gonna mix mortar, we're gonna mix in the Portland cement, just probably like a shovel full, like a little spade full. We'll put like just a dash of this adhesive, and that will bond to the rest of the mix, because this stuff will dry really quickly. I'm not used to using it, so I'm gonna do a quarter bag at a time. They're really not that expensive. They make drills for mixing, but if you're doing small batches, you can get one of these, you can get a normal drill, and you can mix your own stuff. Put your water in first, make sure it's measured out properly, throw your powder in, mix, and then make sure it's ready. Read the bag. There's a set time for all this stuff. Like even when I did the tiling in my house, if you don't do it properly, you'll screw it up. Like the reality is we all think we're quicker than we are. One of the things that I'll show you later in my bathroom video is how, because I didn't want to do 2 batches, I tried to do all my grouting in one go because I thought I was quick enough because it's a smaller bathroom. No, all the stuff around the toilet is all coming out and breaking apart because it was getting too dry to be worked with at that point. So luckily we already have plans to redo that, but it doesn't help you any. So we got an opening in the deck here. All these leaves and all this trash came out from underneath it. Barbed wire. Be really careful when you're under these things. It is amazing the shit that people just drop underneath decks and stuff like that. Our house is a flipped house. So even though they said contractors did everything, if my wife and I have noticed anything, it's that no one who was willing to get an inspection did this house. It's not possible. So we're going to start doing this kind of stuff. Anything that requires a permit, we will get a permit for. We'll get the inspection. Don't know if we'll show it. You guys will see me on camera a lot. I'm not sure if we're going to put my son on camera. I'm not sure I want to do that. It's up to my wife whether or not she ever wants to get it. She does help in the project. She's actually painting cabinets in the back right now because we're doing the kitchen at the same time. But I need to get this fixed before I go out of town for work. And we have skunk issues again because they sprayed in front of the house the other day. Didn't get into the house, but any of you who dealt with skunks, if it sprays under your floorboards, it takes days. You have to wash everything in your house. You have to literally, ammonia everything, and it still takes a week to get the smell out. Like it soaks into your work bags, into your clothes, into your couches, and so we're gonna try and get this fixed so we don't have it anymore, and so I don't have to have chicken wire on my deck. I'll probably have to put it up for now until I rebuild the deck next spring, because then I'll put a different lattice system or a build around so that I don't have to deal with it. But wanted you at least to see the starting point that we're dealing with, and I'll kind of probably take a video at the end to kind of show you how it ended up. And then thanks for watching if you do. Thanks.